You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Stu Gotz here. Today's episode is powered by Venmo and PayPal. Look, no matter how your favorite team did this season, there's still one way to feel like a winner, and that's with Venmo and PayPal. That's because when you use Venmo or PayPal to transfer $5 or more to your DraftKings account for the first time, you'll receive one entry into the DraftKings Big Game Millionaire DFS contest on February 11th. Just go to DraftKings.com/PayPal Venmo to activate your offer. Then choose Venmo or PayPal to transfer funds to your DraftKings account, add $5 or more, and boom, the ticket for entry into the Big Game Millionaire DFS contest will appear in your DraftKings account if you're eligible. This offer is only good through February 11th, 2024, or while supplies last. See official rules for details. What are you waiting for? Just transfer $5 or more to your DraftKings account with Venmo or PayPal, and you'll get one entry into the Big Game Millionaire DFS contest on DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com/PayPal Venmo and go get that entry.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Valid one per first-time Venmo or PayPal account transfer. Valid only in states where Venmo or PayPal is a valid method of transfer. Opt-in required. Minimum $5 transfer from your Venmo or PayPal account to your DraftKings DFS account. $15 daily fantasy ticket awarded. Promo ends and ticket expires February 11th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. See terms at DraftKings.com/PayPal Venmo.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
He's going to be exhausted. Chris Cody yesterday power walked for 8 minutes in the studio and was soon thereafter winded. And now he has been dancing throughout the YouTube break with Amin, who I did not know was still in town.
He's always in town, Dan.
In the street on the median. We will all be in Las Vegas next week. Everyone's excited about this, correct? Everyone's excited about it's going to be a great deal of work. Mike, you don't look terribly excited.
No, I'm thrilled.
You don't.
My voice gave out.
You don't look terribly excited because
thrilled.
it is a lot of work to move our entire outfit to Las Vegas. But everyone's moving, and Stugotz has top 5 Radio Row tips. I don't know what we're going to get from Stugotz. He's promised a lot. He's promised to give us a whole bunch of effort and maximum Stugotz while we're in Las Vegas. He's getting out there when? You're getting out there early. You're going to be on Radio Row. Chris Russo taught you got to get out there Monday. You got to be there Monday.
I'm getting there tomorrow. Chris Russo did tell me once, we sat down, we talked for a little bit. He said, if you're not out here covering the Super Bowl on Radio Row on Monday, you're not covering the Super Bowl. That's what he said to me. And he's right. I mean,
is he going to be there on Monday?
He'll be.
What have you asked?
What have you asked?
Borderline penalty box.
Can you make an intro?
I thought that the Flanagan's Cup being eaten by your dog was the most blasphemy we were going to see today. But
she didn't eat it. She chewed it. I took it away. Obviously, I'm a good dog mom. I don't let my dog eat things that are going to hurt her tummy. So I took it away.
But you ruined the best cup that we have around here.
I agree with that statement.
Where will we ever find another?
This was the special Marlins one, which, by the way, should have been teal. Sorry, Flanagan's. Should have been teal.
Can't be teal. Flanagan's.
They do the pink cups for October. They're going to do a teal cup for the Marlins. Just saying. If I were their marketing director, I would have put it in teal.
Yeah, well, if I were their marketing director, I'd make them wear teal all the time.
I wouldn't want a teal cup. Would you, Mike?
I would want anything with Big Papa Joe on it.
Okay.
Are you ready for top 5 tips? These are Stugotz. This is learned over a lifetime.
Top 5 keys to Radio Row,
of dominating Radio Row. Now, you are still promising us, but I am not optimistic, that you are going to sell Greg Cody's book with Flava Flav.
Yes.
On Radio Row.
Uh-huh. Yep, we're working it out.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a great hype, man.
We're going to walk Greg through Radio Row.
What a creative logjam God Bless Football has. Sell Greg Cody's book with Flava Flav. Interview Don Shula from the dead.
I've been invited to 2 places, 2 houses to stay at in Vegas, Flava Flav's and Austin Eckler. I won't go to one of them. I mean,
you mentioned Shula here. Did you see, Stugotz, by the way, that the Dolphins turned down for their defensive coordinator position the grandson of Don Shula, Chris Shula? The Dolphins rejected the Shula name for defensive coordinator to replace Fangs.
I mean, they should. I mean, what has Chris Shula been doing?
I mean, that name, you can't.
Right.
I think he's McVay adjacent.
You're saying if you're a Shula, you get hired?
By the
That's
Dolphins?
usually how the NFL works.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Usually how the NFL works. Is
I know, but Shula,
that last name means you're good.
he's been gone for a while now.
Don? I mean, he's going to be joining God Bless Football in a couple of weeks.
He will, yes, from the dead. But does he coach?
Yes, he's been on the Rams staff for like 5 years.
Really?
No, Stugotz.
Ridiculous question you just asked out loud.
No, Stugotz, oddly, he was working. He was
works
working
in private equity.
produce. No, he was in produce at Whole Foods, and they just said,
It's a venture capitalist
your name is.
looking for a change of scenery.
I mean, climb the ladder.
Did you really just ask the question?
intern,
Did the Dolphins interview for defensive coordinator somebody who was in football?
I mean, what did he do to deserve, besides having the last name of Shula, what has he done to deserve that interview?
He's evidently worked in football on the defensive side of the ball. Okay, thanks for listening to my answer.
If I'm the younger Shula, though, I'm staying with the Rams. I'm the Rams D coordinator now. I know it's the name and all that.
You're questioning his bona fides when he just got a D coordinator job.
Yes, I am.
But it's all who you know.
He's a little young.
He works hard.
Are you anti all Nepo babies
Lots to
or
live
just
up to.
this one weirdly?
Just this one.
All right, well, you should ask Don about it.
I got hit yesterday with Nepo baby. And I'm like, what?
Nah, you can't. If your parents are political exiles, you can't be hit with that. Unless it's like a royal family that's been exiled.
Someone called me a Nepo baby the other day, and they were like, we know your dad's an executive here. And he's not. I was like, do I respond to this one? But I've been called a Nepo baby. My dad works for Progressive Insurance.
Lucy, that has also happened to me. I've been accused of being John Skipper's daughter before. That's just a sexism thing.
Okay, but why am I being called the Nepo baby?
Because your dad's more famous.
Yeah.
Your dad is on television.
Why am I being called?
Yeah.
That's right. Top 5 tips and keys to Radio Row, according to Stu Gotz, who doesn't know that Chris Shula was in football for the last 9 years.
Jules.
God bless football. Shoes. God bless
Cobbler.
God bless football had a bunch of guests this week. AJ Brown was on. Who else? It just debuted today, correct?
Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Austin Eckler, Mike Golick. We had Flavor Flav earlier this week. We had Colleen Wolfe as well. Chris Cody sat in for a bit. We had a fun episode this week.
So you are going to unleash how many God Bless Footballs next week as we unleash the Stugotz upon Radio Row?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. For me, Radio Row is home. It's where I'm most comfortable. It's the 1 year on the calendar I look most forward to. So I'm really excited.
The 1 year on the calendar.
It is. Well, in terms of, sporting events and us covering that.
Yeah, well, Tahoe, you say the same thing about.
Yeah, I do. Same thing with Augusta. But this is it. This is Radio Row. This is where everything's happening. I get to see some friends whose names I don't know. I mean, it's great.
Any OLIs? Or are you going right to the
I
good
just got
stuff?
a straight 5.
All right, number 5, keys. Write them down, Lucy. It's important that you learn this going in.
Don't blink. Let me tell you, your time is precious at Radio Row, and I can tell you who's not blinking. Jim Rome's producer. I can tell you who else is not blinking. Christopher Mad Dog Russo and his producer. They don't blink. You can't blink. You blink, you miss a guest. Mm-hmm.
Number 4.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, Dano. You don't want to come out of the gates Monday with too many guests. Sometimes you just sit there. You sit there and you let things happen.
Way to rationalize nobody being there on Monday.
And you don't leave, because here's what happens if you just, play the long game. Marathon, not a sprint. You're sitting there. Radio Row has cleared out. All the hosts have gone home. They're going to the parties. They're doing this. They're doing that. And all of a sudden, Troy Aikman, he left some sort of planner that he has back at Radio Row, and he walks in. You couldn't get him 4 hours ago, but now it's just you and Troy on Radio Row. You ask him, he does it, 15 minutes, boom. Play the long game, Dan. I'm telling you, that's how you get Merrill Haji.
Number 3.
Lay of the land. I am telling all you right now, I go out there, I'm going out there tomorrow. And the reason I'm going out there is I like to see Radio Row before anyone else does. I like to know where Gio and Boomer are sitting before Gio and Boomer know where they're sitting. You need to get a lay of the land, know where the tables are at, know who's who, where they're going to be. That way you can formulate a plan. Get a lay of the land.
Know where the food is.
Yeah.
The bathrooms. All important. I should tell the audience, by the way, we are very moved by the number of people who have RSVP'd, and next week is going to be a different week in our schedule. All of it, everything we're doing next week is going to feel a little bit different because we're moving the show out there.
And it's going to be 40 degrees.
In segments. I was encouraged by the recent forecast. The 7-day forecast, much better than the 14-day forecast.
It was updated.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yes. Less cold.
What? I've seen the opposite.
Less cold, less windy, less rainy, all in the last 7 days. I don't know if you trust the 7-day forecast, but it's far better than the 14-day forecast. But just so that you know, you can still get in. And Thursday right now, Friday is just everyone is getting there for the weekend, and it's going to be an insanity. Thursday is a better bet for you if you want to get at least reasonably close to what it is that we're doing.
Keep in mind, these are RSVPs, and everyone's RSVP'd to a party that they haven't shown up on, but we are still really expecting a lot of people there. Don't sleep on Thursday. Thursday is a real special day. We've got something really special cooking. There is a photo op that is once in a lifetime that I hope comes together.
Wow.
I got that text last night. My response was only, holy shit, what a great picture that would be. Number 2.
Bend, don't break. You have to be flexible, Dan, on Radio Row. If you make the mistake, okay, of having Steak Shapiro on your show when there are a million guests out there, if you make the mistake of, Steak's on, and then all of a sudden Mark Schlereth is on Steak, bend, don't break. Be flexible. If there's a big guest, he comes to the table, you already have 2 guests there, throw a third one into the mix, okay? And tell your host to figure it out. That's it.
There's no group of more flexible people than sports writers at the Super Bowl, too. Good advice.
Len Pasquarelli can definitely touch his toes.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can Len Pasquarelli touch his toes? Number 1.
Finger guns.
It seemed like that was the place for it. It seemed like that was the place for it.
Finger guns, all right.
It had a question mark on it. He's reading poorly. It had
finger guns, a point to the finger, a nod, and a wink, Dan. Moving and shaking, that's what Radio Row is all about. You have to move through Radio Row. You don't stop. Someone's going to yell, hey, Stu Gotz. I'll yell back. Nothing. You know what I give them? I give them a finger gun. I give them a wink. I give them a nod. I have no idea who they are. I just keep it moving, okay? That is the important part about Radio Row. You stop, you shake hands, you have a conversation with an old friend whose name you do not know, you are making a big mistake. Why? Because all of a sudden, Joe Montana and Roger Craig walk in. I mean,
Here's Michael Bublé talking about being on mushrooms at the NHL All-Star festivities.
Matt, I'm in more than one hockey league. So, in the LHL, which I'm in with you, I happen to be in 5th place. Even though I had no first pick even. I didn't even have a first rounder. And I still did what I had to do because of my genius. Second, I am first place in the FHL, other hockey, fantasy hockey league. Third, my buddy told me this is just a microdose of mushrooms, and he was lying. So I'll be honest, I thought I was in Blades of Glory for most of the time that I was out there until it sort of settled down, and then I realized, holy shit, I'm at the NHL All-Star game.
It just occurs to me that he's microdosing while in the press conference, yammering and rambling while next to a confused Will Arnett.
We've all been there.
I'm pissed off he got to do that bit before Stu hit Radio Row on Monday.
I also thought that this was a microdose of caffeine, and it was not. This was a full-blown dose of caffeine, okay? Do you guys want to do another up 1 minute?
Hey, folks, it's Mike Ryan. And as you know, Miller Lite is my favorite beer. So when I have friends in from out of town like I had last week, and the weather is a brisk 68 degrees outside, we went out and I cracked open those beautiful white cans, and I knew immediately it was the right call. It made the conversation and bonding with friends easy and fun. I love spending time with my friends drinking Miller Lite because not for 1 second does anyone have to think about their drink. Moments like this are made even better by just pairing it with Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer. For people who love beer, reach out to those important to you. Why don't you invite a best friend over and say, hey, let's have some Miller time together. I guarantee you it won't go wrong. It is a certified winner for me every single time out. Tastes like Miller time. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Don Le Batard.
Listen, it could be Julius Randle's building. How about that?
The Mecca.
Or it's Julius. The Mecca.
Stugotz.
Steve Martin was a prop comic.
You said that?
I said it 2 seconds earlier than you.
This is the Don Le Batard show with the Stugotz.
Charlotte, those goddamn New York Knicks. No Julius Randle, no OG Anunoby, no Mitchell Robinson, obviously, no Evan Fournier. Haha, just making sure you guys are paying attention. No problem. Charlotte, I'm going to take you on a dive into a little group chat that I'm part of that's called Sportsville. And the question came up yesterday, and this is how I know we've reached pandemonium levels of Knicks fever. This is DEFCON 1. This is Terror Alert Red, all of it. What's it going to take for Jalen Brunson to be in the MVP conversation? Oh, there it is. Now,
wow.
It's forget about, we're good. We're going to go to playoffs. Oh, can we win around? They want to know, what's it going to take for Jalen Brunson to win MVP?
What do you think it's going to take for Jalen Brunson to win MVP, Amin?
I think, here's the thing. A long time ago, my buddy Zach Harper and I came up with this concept called the MVP conversation bar. So you go in the bar and there's a group of people all holding a drink, having a conversation. And everyone in that conversation is in the MVP conversation. So this year would be like, Giannis holding a drink and Joel Embiid holding a drink and Nikola Jokic holding a drink. And I believe Jalen Brunson should be in there holding a drink. Now, the closer you are to the center of this group of people, the higher your MVP odds are right now, as of right now. So the number one spot is the guy in the middle, and he's telling a story. He's got a drink in his hand, and he's telling a story, and everyone's just kind of listening. And so that's Joel Embiid right now. But Joel Embiid got hurt last night. So, in the MVP conversation bar, that means Joel Embiid maybe feeling a little queasy. Maybe I had a little bit too much to drink, and they got to take him out. They got to escort him out the bar. Then a new challenger walks in the center, and that might be Nikola Jokic. But Jalen Brunson, he got in the bar now, and he's on the outskirts. And because he's short, he's doing this. He's doing a lot of peeking over and trying to wiggle his way through. But I think if the Knicks keep winning, he might find himself towards the inner circle there.
I do too. I think he also has a lot to overcome. I think he has to do a lot more than other people might have to do to be in that center of that conversation, because he is small. He is on the Knicks. He is, he's got to put up crazy points, and they have to keep winning for him to hold that spot. I think you see a Jokic or you see a Embiid, and it's like, well, a lot of people will be like, well, obviously it's that guy, not that guy. But what Jalen Brunson is doing, the Knicks are there because of him. The Knicks are where they are because of Jalen Brunson. And if you're talking about most valuable player, like valuable player to a team, why not Jalen Brunson? Who else has made this much of a turnaround for their team this year as Brunson has?
Well, I mean, I think people point to Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as two other guys who have done that and have won more and maybe, quote unquote, look the part more. I think Jalen Brunson, you're right. He has to overcome so many things. We've heard analysts and pundits say, well, how good is he really? And you know what that is, Charlotte? It's the quote-unquote eye test. It's the same reason people were like, oh, well, how good is Steph Curry? They don't say it anymore, but I remember 2015 and 2016, people were like, well, he's not really that good. And we're trying to explain to people, no, he is. It's the same thing that happened to Steve Nash. Again, when he won his MVPs, people were like, well, he's all right, but he's only averaging like 18 points a game. How could he be the MVP of the league? People refuse to accept that this guy who could walk into a room and probably not turn too many heads based on his physical stature could dominate a game of giants.
Well, he just grinds it out. Jalen Brunson just throws his body anywhere he has to go to get the points. He takes any charge he has to take. He is just like, there's this determination in his face that I think is so fun to watch, aside from the, he's not the biggest guy doing the craziest things, but he is just so consistently good. Knicks fans, I happen to live with one, and I was looking at my husband's Twitter because as the Knicks game was going on.
Your roommate?
Sorry, my roommate. Yeah. And we were just cracking up because Knicks Twitter, one of them was, so who are we playing in the finals? Another one was, hands down, best team since 99. Can't even talk about how excited I am, which correct, probably, right?
By the way, they're right. They won 8 games in a row. That's the longest winning streak they've had since 1994, January 94. And in 94, they went to the finals. So
there was also, a GIF that or a video thing that I'm going to pull up and send to everybody of Tibbs doing this maniacal laugh that he laughed after that press conference when who did they beat? When he sat down and laughed, and we were talking about how happy he was. Denver. After they beat Denver, someone did a fan edit. New York is very excited about this, but for the first time in a while, it doesn't feel like delusional Knicks hope. It feels like, oh, wow, okay, this is a legitimate team.
They're legitimately good. It's been confirmed. It is acknowledged. All-Star Weekend, we're getting a 3-point shootout between Sabrina Ionescu of the New York Liberty and Steph Curry of, you know who he is. You've seen his work. Originally, they said Sabrina's going to shoot from the WNBA 3-point line while Steph shoots from the NBA 3-point line. But a lot of people kind of made a fuss, and now Sabrina's shooting from the NBA 3-point line. She's using a WNBA ball. He's using an NBA ball. From the very beginning, I heard these rumors, Charlotte. I was out on this completely. I hope they were just rumors. We didn't talk about it last week because I thought it was just rumors, but it's been confirmed now. I'll explain why I don't like it, but I want to hear your take first. Do you think this is a good idea?
I think it's fun. I think that Sabrina, last year's WNBA All-Star, hit the most threes anyone's ever hit, WNBA, NBA. And, Steph was tweeting about it. She was asked a lot about it. And I think it's fun to have her a part of the NBA All-Star, putting the W in front of more people whenever you can and showing like, hey, look at this amazing player. I think that Steph probably is going into this being like, well, I'm not going to lose. And she's probably going into it being like, I'm not going to lose. And so it's sort of a fun battle of egos. And I think it's great. I think it's great to have her up there.
So this is my thing. I understand the desire to use the spotlight of the NBA to, lift up the WNBA. I think that's always a great thing. Anytime we have interactions between WNBA players and NBA players, whether it's going to each other's games, whether it's being there as a part of an All-Star weekend, that's all great. I think when you do this battle of the sexes thing, like, in my opinion, the biggest hurdle for the WNBA is having to constantly refer yourself to the NBA. Mm-hmm. There's a difference in, hey, we're all together, we're all one big happy family. That's cool. It's a difference between that and I'm just as good as him. Look, I can do it too. I don't understand the incessant obsession of comparing. There are two different sports. There are two different sets of athletes. I never have to hear about Serena Williams playing against Roger Federer to show how good Serena Williams really is. We just accept Serena Williams is great at her sport. And we don't play this comparison game constantly. And I think playing the comparison just robs it of its own value and its own merit, which is it's a great sport. Look, women's college basketball is doing crazy numbers on ESPN. They're beating NBA games on many nights, right? The other thing is it's a lose-lose because if Curry wins, you've just devalued your sport. Like, you're basically saying, hey, put all my chips in the middle of the table, and I'm betting that one of my best players can beat the greatest shooter of all time in his environment, in his, basically home turf pretty much. What a ridiculous bet. Why? Because here's the thing. If she wins, how many people do you think are going to be like, maybe I haven't been giving the WNBA a fair shake. I'll tune in a few months. They're not going to do it. You're not winning people over with this. You remember the television program Highly Questionable, right? Dan Le Batard, Poppy Le Batard, Bomani Jones. And then when Bomani left to do his own thing, that became a rotating chair, right? And I sat in the chair, and Izzy Gutierrez sat in the chair, and Mina Kimes sat in the chair. And I'll never forget coming to Miami to do Le Batard's show, and Mina's in town to do Highly Questionable. And I'm like, hey, like, you want to go grab something or whatever? And she says, no, I have to study. And I said, Mina, what do you got to study for? What's happening? Like, you taking the bar? What's happening? And she said, no, I got to study for HQ. I said, Mina, this is like the stupid show where we show people getting hit in the nuts and we laugh or whatever. But Mina's thing was like, yes, but the A block, we actually talk about sports. I can't mess this up. I mean, you can go and sit in that chair and, like, you know, say something goofy and we move on or whatever, or even get something wrong. Like, I have that luxury because for me, it is just a silly show with my friends joking around. But for Mina, she understood that when I step into this seat, there's an incredible pressure to prove that, yes, I belong. I'm not some ditzy girl who doesn't know what I'm talking about. So even in the most silliest of settings, Mina still felt, I got to bring it, right? I look at this the same way. For Ionescu, whether she realizes it or not, there is an attention to this and a reality of like, oh, now, like, remember, you're not just Sabrina Ionescu. You are the representative for all women across all times and generations. It's not fair, but that's kind of how it is.
I mean, how do you think I feel doing this show? Why do you think I constantly ask for more research and more facts? Why do I get so embarrassed when I get something wrong? Obviously, like you're talking about Mina's experience, this is my every day. I didn't want to use I get that. Example. I think that the hope is that maybe there's a world in which she can do this. Maybe that's naive. Maybe we're not there yet. But maybe there's a world in which this can be a fun thing for her to do. And so what if people are like, well, that means women are worse. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the way you push through that is her giving it a try.
Fingers crossed, I guess.
Don Le Batard.
Let me get some golf ASMR.
Stugotz.
Oh, me.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Thomahawk Show. We've talked conference championships, and now we know who will be in the Super Bowl. It is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we are going to go through our picks. We're going to give our analysis of who we think wins, and we're going to talk about some of the players that are involved in it because there's a lot of conversation around them, starting with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, I feel like the sentiment around Brock Purdy for 49ers fans and within the 49ers locker room is completely different than the rest of the world. The rest of the world looks at Brock Purdy like a insurance salesman has won a ticket out of a Cracker Jack box and he got to play in the easiest offense and gets to have this roller coaster ride to be a quarterback in the end. That's what the sentiment is, Juju. Don't blame me.
The whole rest of the world.
Most of the world. That is the conversation around Brock Purdy. So, Joe, tell me, when you look at Brock Purdy, what do you see?
I see a quarterback who's growing, who's improving, but who is exactly like you advertised, right? He was dropped into a perfect situation. He's got a multitude of weapons on offense. He's got a great run game, a great offensive line, and one of the best defenses in the NFL. He's doing exactly as he's supposed to. But I'm not saying that there's not 20 other quarterbacks in the NFL right now that could do what he's doing if put in that perfect situation.
Man, 20 other quarterbacks in that situation. All right, now you are the San Francisco homer. I'm sure you have a Brock Purdy tattoo somewhere.
Unfair introduction to unfair for her.
I'm just saying, but I have to give people that there is a bias here, regardless of whether it's fair or not, Juju. This is journalism. I have to let them know that there are other factors at play here. Phat, Nattt, what is your perception of Brock Purdy?
I think, well, yes, obviously, we all know I'm biased at this point. There's no denying it. But yeah, no, I like Brock Purdy a lot. I think he has a lot of potential, and I think he could do this on another team. Something, maybe not take him to the Super Bowl, but I think he is a good enough quarterback to be able to be playing at a level like this on a different team. Yes, he was dropped into a perfect situation, but I don't know. I couldn't name too many other, I wouldn't pick too many other quarterbacks to be dropped into our 49ers situation and be able to do what he's done so far. So that's my take.
All right. I feel like that was a little more lukewarm than I anticipated. I thought we were going to get like a
ride or die.
It's Mahomes versus Brock Purdy for best ever type of comment. Juju, give me your perspective.
Look, my perspective, when I see Brock Purdy, I see a hero. I see Batman. I see Robin. I see a brother that was the last pick in the draft, is in the damn Super Bowl and was one game away last year. Like, brother, that is inspiring for little kids all around the globe. People, you don't have to be Patrick Mahomes in college and go to Texas Tech and be throwing bombs and Jalen Hurts and Tua. Brother, you can work your way up. Go to Iowa State. Where you went? Just have a route and give yourself an opportunity to be drafted. And look what can happen. You could be Brock Purdy. You could be going against Taylor Swift and the Swifties in the Super Bowl. You can be the leader of Bang Bang Niner game, doing what Jimmy Garoppolo could never. Sam Darnold could never. We shipped Trey Lance ass the hell up out of here because he could never. Brother, I see the man brother, and then the narrative, we could have thought that before this last game, that, he's with the weapons around him. Not in that damn fourth quarter. The weapons around Brock Purdy was Brock damn Purdy. He was getting them little scrambles. That was what we wanted Lamar to do. That was what we wanted Dak to do. That was what we wish Jared Goff would dream about doing. You feel me? Tua Tagovailoa, he can't even, 2 yards down the field, he never get. Brock Purdy making game-changing plays to get to the Super Bowl. When else does it count? I feel like that man is Robin. That man is the Mask. That man is whoever. Daredevil.
You're saying a couple of things, because being Batman and being Robin are two different sentiments, and I would.
You ask me how I see him.
I know.
What makes sense in the dictionary?
I know. Robin's not in the dictionary. Robin is understanding that he is the sidekick to Kyle Shanahan. So I actually view. We might be looking at the same thing, but differently. But I do understand that, and I'm actually closer to the Juju's train of thought than I am the Joe train of thought, because the reality is, first-round quarterbacks are a certain height, they're a certain weight, they have a certain tangible arm strength, arm power, they have a certain resume at a certain place. Brock Purdy doesn't check any of those boxes. But the reality is, what Brock Purdy is he is clutch. And Kyle Shanahan would not put his offense and his legacy in the hands of somebody who was not like that. It is a big deal to move on from Trey Lance. It is a big deal to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, to trust Brock Purdy the way that he has. And I think the biggest evidence is the stat that Kyle Shanahan, anytime he is down going into the fourth quarter, he loses, right? Because his offense is very automated. You go to this place with the football every time. And if the defense can do something in that moment to force you into the wrong decision based on what you're seeing, it is hard to improvise. But what Brock Purdy has shown the ability to do is he gets better in those moments, and that's what makes him special. That's what made Tom Brady special. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy is Tom Brady, but the reality is, against the Packers, Brock Purdy had a drive that they needed for the win, and they got it. Versus the Detroit Lions down the stretch, he played his best. And even versus the Cleveland Browns, which was their first loss, where we started to kind of squint at the 49ers a little bit, if you look at that game, he put a drive together after a terrible game from him to put them in position to win, and their kicker missed the field goal. So I do think Brock Purdy is special. He's in his second year. If you look at his second year numbers in this system versus Joe Burrow's second year numbers in the same system, we talk about both of these players completely different. Now, Burrow is doing it for the Cincinnati Bengals, which is significant. But at the same time, it is the same system. The numbers are pretty much the same. And we talked about Joe Burrow like he was the next coming of Joe Montana. And we talk about Brock Purdy, again, like he should be just happy to be there, Joe.
Well, I think it's somewhere
Joe, think about this. And after Hawks just said that, he's not the hero the city wants, but he's the hero the city needs.
Well, that was well done for a voiceover. You've got an amazing VO voice. I'm not saying it's one or the other. I'm saying it's in between.
Yep.
He's a top 15 quarterback. He's done a great job with what he's been asked. He nailed it when things mattered in the playoffs down the stretch, bringing his team back to victory. But I want to see a little bit more before I proclaim him the next Tom Brady or as good as Lamar Jackson. Like, he had some ups and downs this season, and he's had a lot of great players around him since he's got to the Niners. He's got a great defense. And if he continues to elevate himself, then I'll reconsider his top 15 status. If he wins the Super Bowl, it's different. He's top 7 now. He's in that tier 1 because, like we talked about at the top of the show, when you're the quarterback, winning the Super Bowl is what matters.
Yeah, I like that take. All right, everybody gets a 1-minute clock to make their Super Bowl picks and why. Joe, I'm going to go with you first. 49ers versus the Chiefs. Who wins the Super Bowl and why?
I think Patrick Mahomes' magic finally wears out. He's been magical throughout the postseason against all odds. I will say, going through December, getting into the playoffs, beating some teams that maybe they shouldn't have because they weren't as good, but Patrick Mahomes was the difference maker. But I think they run into a buzzsaw right now in San Francisco with Brock Purdy, my top 15 quarterback, your number 1 guys of all time, because they've got the defense. They can beat you in multiple ways. And it's finally time for Kyle Shanahan to win his Super Bowl drink.
Oh, Kyle Shanahan drink legacy continues. Juju, you're next. 1 minute to make your pick and why.
Brother, it's like I said earlier, I happen to be in the era where I'm watching Michael Jordan play. And while you watch Michael Jordan get it done, it's something in your chest that says, damn, this man is inevitable. Damn, this combination of Jordan and Pippen is inevitable. Damn, Travis Kelce to damn Mahomes, that's inevitable at this point. And no disrespect to the Bang Bang Niner game, because I think that y'all getting this far is a testament to y'all will. You feel me? You see how I feel about Brock Purdy. You feel me? To put a logo in the sky with a turtle man, and like Batman and Brock Purdy, come, you feel me, save the day. But I cannot go against the Swifties. I love Taylor Swift. Get over yourself if you don't like Taylor Swift to be shown 10 to 15 seconds at a time in the damn game. I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. I'm going with Andy Reid, the legacy, because he doesn't get enough praise. Wow, Andy Reid, take a bow, because wow. So all right, Patrick Mahomes and them boys. Wow.
We got Chiefs, we got Niners. Nattt, who you got and why?
I have to think about this one. Yeah, I have the Niners winning for multiple reasons. First of all, we're coming in with the chip on our shoulder of we need to get them back for 2020. So we need to take them down. We're not going to let them go back to back. There's no effing way that that's going to happen. We have come this far. We're poised enough to get it done. We saw it happen in the second half of last game. I know the Chiefs are a very different team, but still, we have all the pieces in the right place right now. There's no chance that we're going to lose. Shanahan drink finally is going to get a Super Bowl. So I got us winning, obviously.
All right. Well, I am going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I am not making the mistake of picking against Patrick Mahomes. He is now Tom Brady status. It is always smart money to pick him. I'm also hardly ever right when I pick Super Bowl teams. So you could take that with a grain of salt. But the reason being is I think Patrick Mahomes plays at a different level because he understands the gravity. I think the 49ers have been the best team throughout the season, like the most consistently good team in the league. But for whatever reason, because Patrick Mahomes is so good, teams play different and he gets them to play outside of themselves, especially in these moments. I think that happens in the Super Bowl. I think Patrick Mahomes cements his legacy. I think Andy Reid retires, and then Eric Bieniemy gets the call to be the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. That's my prediction. And also,
but since you say that, Nation, my bad.
Go back to my prediction about Swiftie Nation, though. When we talked about Taylor Swift and the conspiracy, we are here, y'all. This is it. This is stage 9. What you got, Juju?
Yeah, I was saying, since you said how you said it and how you put it, you made me see the light. I changed my pick to Bang Bang Niner game because what was I thinking?
All right, so we got 3-1. We'll see what happens. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Mr. Joe Thomas, host extraordinaire, is going to bring this episode of the Tomahawk home.
Hey folks, it's Mike Ryan. And as you know, Miller Lite is my favorite beer. So when I have friends in from out of town like I had last week and the weather is a brisk 68 degrees outside, we went out and I cracked open those beautiful white cans and I knew immediately it was the right call. It made the conversation and bonding with friends easy and fun. I love spending time with my friends drinking Miller Lite because not for 1 second does anyone have to think about their drink. Moments like this are made even better by just pairing it with Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer. For people who love beer, reach out to those important to you. Why don't you invite a best friend over and say, hey, let's have some Miller time together. I guarantee you it won't go wrong. It is a certified winner for me every single time out. Tastes like Miller time. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.